Okay, so part of the corporate female's problem has to do with mindfulness. Okay, at least this is how they would describe it, where they're not focusing on the right thing. This also goes back to World War II, where you have concentration camps. They're trying to get people to concentrate on certain things so they can control them and not think about other things. It's very simple. It has to do with your flow, your balance, how they relate to background stressors, your performance at work, and the obvious things that governments and corporations are concerned with. This leads us to the argument of the circus person, the mutant, how they sell it in popular culture, with the different shows they put on, the different acts, the different types of martial arts, kind of strongman martial arts. And circus performer, like martial arts, are popular with the flips, the demonstrations, demonstrations, Evel Knievel, daredevil, circus acts. Okay. They're acting, they're kidding, they're playing, they're joking, the joker, the jester. So the circus argument basically goes like this: being unfocused, not having this masculine African moral focus. Of course, they're drugging, so they confuse you about it. I actually have it. You can tell by my body structure, my hands, and certain things, and the way my posture, that someone who's drugged, who has these things, who's being covertly drugged, to confuse you about that. They deal in confusion. Set is a deity of confusion. Anyway, so the circus argument has to do with the mutant, the circus freak. The idea that you can be some kind of Tesla or Einstein or some kind of mutation in your dreams that makes you, in your genes, that makes you eccentric and weird, that allows you to do incredible things. And a bunch of scientists in the occult, scientific Satanists, kind of Jack Parsons, sex cult guys, Crowley and so on, can help you unlock your true potential with some kind of Baphomet homosexual energy and homosexual activity. And of course, they have invented a lot of things with this thing. This is not something that they haven't experimented with for thousands of years. They have. And they've had a certain degree of Western scientific occult success, if you will, in inventing things in this way. But this by no means helps them be more spiritual or connect to God. Okay. Even in Sacramento, someone pointed out, they said in Sacramento there's this statue of this demon, which is some kind of beak, as a mask, kind of imposter Horus, American eagle, eagle of Rome, Sumerian eagle, eagle of Zeus kind of thing, pointing down, right, instead of pointing up, right, because this predates Islam, where some people are saying they're going down and they're going to sink into the earth, Gaia, G, Ki, Jeb, these earth deities, and they're going to sink into the earth, and they're going to focus on the earth. They're going to think in terms of the earth instead of thinking in terms of masculine transcendence, which is the only true transcendence, and the females that attach themselves and submit to the masculine spirit of God through these people with no ill-gotten gains, which is why it dies in me. So it's very simple, these two arguments. Unfocused, circus, mutation, freak, eccentric weirdo, kind of Einstein hair going everywhere, versus this martial art guy who is not to be confused with the performer whose clothes they have fit them. Wardrobe, war, Dr. Obi, right? Doctor, the evidence is what they're doing, versus the actual brain surgeon with the African surge and focused moral intensity to strike effectively, okay? This is where it comes from. I don't, the surgical, medical kind of field medic activities of the martial artists in Africa of old, kind of coming down through the line with the accompanying royal martial art masculinity. When you see the difference between the face I have and other people's faces, okay, they're trying to confuse you about that. That's part of why they're drugging me, because my face naturally would reflect this kind of royal masculine aggression that allows me to outmaneuver people like Deontay Wilder and find the surgical strike, the unorthodox strikes, and certain strikes that allow me to outmaneuver and stab him effectively with an appropriate knife. There's this big hole in his stomach. He's like, oh, he's holding his stomach, or there's a big hole in his neck, or I stab him in the eye. Places where he can't recover one strike, I get to it first, and I surgically outmaneuver him. Okay. So this puts me naturally above him. God chose me, not the big heavyweight boxer, not the short, talented kind of Asian martial artist, not the big brute UFC fighter. God chose me as the King of Kings, Alpha of Alpha. Okay, this is the argument in a nutshell. So the businesswoman, right, the financial expert, is not the scientist. She's not the martial artist. She's beneath them, and she has a choice. Go to the corporate way, team up with the corporate scientific kind of military industrial complex, and be some kind of corporate partnership person, profiteer, war profiteer, the various forms of war, psychological war profiteer, economic, social war, reproduction war, kind of eugenic profiteer, slime ball. Or obey God the only way you can to the top martial artist, and not somebody who pretends that they're chosen. Like Joel Osteen, Pat Robertson, all the other people who claim to be religious people. They're like, look at me, listen to me, acting like bitches. Even if they have a small town church. They know damn well they're not the expert when it comes to God. They don't know God, therefore they don't know what they're talking about. You can know all the Christian books by heart and all the scripture. You could have memorized the Bible by heart with a chip in your brain. You still don't know God. That's the bottom line. And it is wrong to pretend that you do. Okay? You don't have a soul. You're doing something wrong. God is not with the people who are doing something wrong. Without holiness, no man shall see the Lord. No matter how much of an act he's putting on. It's open and shut. Their own Bible says that. All right. So we went over the circus freak. Okay, there's the Batman imposter. They'd say, hey, somebody's going to notice there's a bunch of circus weirdos, a bunch of greedy corporate weirdos. So let's have some kind of Batman imposter, which goes back to the masks and the costumes that the ritual kind of homosexual groups in Egypt and Sumer and Canaan and Greece and Rome and Crete, would put on. And they put on these weird Ishtar, kind of transvestite priest of Ishtar, Inanna, Aphrodite, Venus, Hermaphroditus, where we get the word hermaphrodite, right, was a cult who has to do with Hermes, who's associated with Mercury, and Mercury is the planet associated with Set, has to do with the boundaries, merchandise, trickery. That's why she's a trick. Okay, they're trying to trick you about her worth so that you become this kind of fucking, you're led by this whore that's their little puppet whore, okay, and you're doing what they say. You're like a dog, right? They worship the dog star. God backwards is dog, and this is part of why. That's why the Canaanites were called dogs, where Hades has a three-headed dog, which represents Zeus, Hades, and Poseidon in a very obvious interpretation, where it's like his split personalities. This is one goon person and a bunch of people channeling these deities together. The sons of Saturn, the deity of role reversal, pretending to be something of worth while they disassociate with society. Hades, the deity of the underworld, the realm of the dead. Zeus, the deity of the sky show. They're all ultimately the devil. Okay, Satan, seat on, pretending that they're the top martial artist, the son of Ra. Okay, so, and then Poseidon, the deity of seas. It's the sailor. He's like the sailor disassociating in the water. I'm Hades. I'm Zeus. I'm Hades. I'm Poseidon. Right, losing their fucking mind. I see a mermaid, acting like a bitch. Okay, and then they come to America. They come to Africa. They go over the world, disassociating. Woohoo, woohoo, crazy as fuck. You're the devil. You're not Poseidon. He doesn't exist. Zeus doesn't exist. Hades, for all intents and purposes, doesn't exist. You're a crazy person in rebellion against God, and anyone who with any decency at all left in them wants you to stop. Your kids, if they were sane, would want you to stop. But other people aren't true martial artists. They don't transcend. They're intimidating. Intimidate has everything to do with who's dating who and how long it takes you to insist on truth. The date, okay? Mature has everything to do with how the word starts.